How amazing is that? Does your vegetarian heart long for a juicy barbecued burger that is not meat replacement? Sorry, Beyond Meat, but you're a little too real for this girl. Well, after 20 years as a vegetarian, I can finally say I have come up with the perfect BBQ-able black bean burger. And I have a secret hack that's going to make these so juicy. And don't forget to watch to the end where I show you how to make this great recipe your go-to 15-minute meal. We're going to start by layering flavors. I want all the smoky, savory goodness of a burger, and we're gonna start to build that here by sauteing up some onions and poblano peppers. I've already got my frying pan on to medium. While I finish dicing the onion, I'm just gonna put some oil in there so that it's nice and hot when the onion goes in. For these onions, we want a nice fine dice. And to do that, we're just going to slice through the onion, but hold it together. And then we are going to simply slice down the sides. We'll pop this into the frying pan and then move on to slicing up our peppers. And just like our onions, we're going to chop our peppers into some nice, smallish little bits. The little bit of peppery heat this gives to the burgers is such a nice layer of flavor. What's really funny about this burger recipe is that it started as a quick Tuesday night taco filling, but we had so much left over that I just added some panko crumbs and formed them up into patties. They turned out to be the perfect barbecue bean burgers. So now every week when we have black bean tacos on Tuesday, these store so well that it's always burgers for Friday. We'll just move all of these over to the frying pan as well and let them saute up with the onions for a couple minutes. Now, what would a delicious burger be without all of those amazing umami flavors? And we're going to get that here with 1 tablespoon of cumin, 1 tablespoon of chipotle. Be aware, if you find chipotle a little hot, you might want to sub this with Aleppo chilies, and some smoked paprika for all of that delicious, smoky, barbecue-y flavor. Once those onions and peppers are ready, we're gonna toss the spice into toast, and then we're gonna add our meatiness with Eve's veggie ground round and amazing refried black beans. Our peppers have started to darken and our onions are beautifully colored. We're going to add all of our spices to this frying pan, put it back on the heat for a couple of minutes to toast those spices off. You'll start to really smell the scent of them and you'll know that they're ready for the next addition, which is going to be our veggie ground round. This is gonna give the burgers a bit of that meaty texture without, for me, feeling too much like actually real meat. You can see those spices have taken on a bit of a darker color. It's time to go ahead and add the Eves. I'm just gonna let that veggie ground round sit on the heat for a couple of minutes and let those spices do their thing. So the next ingredient I'm gonna add to the pan is refried black beans. The reason I'm gonna use refried beans is that they've already had some of the moisture taken out of them and they're already pureed. And that is what's gonna give our beans the structure to stick together. Any extra juice in the cans, we're just gonna pour off. The real secret to making these burgers stay together is getting as much moisture out of this mix as possible. So I'm gonna pop these into the pan with the peppers, the onions, the spices, and the ground round, and we're just gonna let it cook off the moisture and let all of those flavors get to know each other. Oh, it's smelling so amazingly good. We'll just quickly chuck these beans in. Now, this seems like a massive recipe, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it kind of is. But as I say, when we make this, we often make it for a Tuesday taco night, and I love having some beans tucked away in the freezer. I'm just gonna mix this really well so the beans are fully dispersed with the ground round, and we'll put it back on the heat for probably about 10 minutes. Also gonna add 1 teaspoon of steak spice, just to get all of that salty, peppery goodness in there. While this is simmering away on the stovetop, it's a really good time to check your seasoning blend. Just give it a quick taste and see if you want to add any more salt, any pepper, any of that goodness. It's starting out so good. Okay, this delicious mix has been bubbling away, and you can see one of my indicators for doneness with this recipe is how it starts to hold together in a bit of a glob. We're nearly to the end of cooking this down, and right about now is a good time to add my favorite ingredient. because I really want to amp up that smoky, sweet barbecue flavor, I'm going to add about half a cup of barbecue sauce to this mix. I'm going to put it back on the oven to continue to cook in. I want to give time for the sugars in the barbecue sauce to caramelize a little bit into the bean mix. Our bean and ground round mix has been bubbling away. You can see still so much steam coming out of there, and you do want to let this go for as long as you can. You can see now how it really wants to hold together when I stir it, and that is a really good indication that you've gotten a lot of the moisture out of those beans and we're ready to start thinking about forming these into burgers. Also, as I mentioned before, now is a really great time to turn this into tacos, so bonus recipe for you, delicious black bean tacos. But I'm gonna give this a couple of minutes to cool off, and then I am going to add in our panko crumbs and our egg just to get that patty to really form and hold together. And we're gonna talk about this little bowl of shredded cheese that I've had sitting here the whole time. Okay, this has cooled off really nicely. If you want to cool it off a little faster, you can just chuck it in another bowl, but I find that it mixes up so nice in the great big frying pan that I tend to just leave it in here and be a little bit patient. To this, we're going to now add 1 egg and about 2 cups of panko. I always try to keep it to as little panko as possible. And we're just gonna give that a really good mix. You're going to see it start to want to hold together into little balls of bean. And that is how you're gonna know that you have enough panko in here. You can see how as I pull the spoon through, I'm getting little bits like that. So this is definitely the right amount of panko. Again, it's somewhere between 2 or 3 cups. We're gonna set this to the side and it's time to start forming our patties. Freshly washed hands and a towel nearby because this is gonna get messy. We're going to grab a good hunk of our bean mixture. I'm guessing it's maybe about half a cup, and I'm just going to start forming the patty. Now I'm going to just flatten this guy out in my hands, and I'm gonna form him pretty fat. Once I get there, it's time for the juicy, sneaky, cheesy layer. And 1 more patty, just like the first, is gonna go on top of that. And we're just gonna pick now both layers up and give them a squeeze to seal that cheesy goodness into the middle. There we are. Our beautiful black bean patty is all ready to go on the barbecue. Now, to make a few more. As I've been going along making these, I've just been putting a little square of parchment on my plate, just between them so I can stack them up. And this is also going to help with my hack for storing them a little bit later on. I think we're gonna end up with about 7 really generously sized burgers. So as I've said, the most important part of a burger for this vegetarian is that it can survive the barbecue. There are so many burgers that just fall apart on the barbecue if they're full of beany goodness, and the ones that don't fall apart on the barbecue are just too carb heavy. But these guys have really found the perfect balance. When you set them aside for a few hours before you need to barbecue them, the moisture is soaked up even more by the panko and they grill even more nicely. This guy, I'm gonna go ahead and pop on my heated grill right now, and you'll be able to see exactly how he turns out fresh off the grill. But first I gotta wash these very messy hands. While we let that guy get perfect on the grill, I'm gonna do a quick tidy, which means I'm also gonna show you exactly how to store these amazing burgers in the freezer so you can take them out one at a time when you're ready to have a delicious barbecued burger any night of the week. You'll remember I mentioned I tucked them into a piece of parchment when I was forming them, and I'm just going to use that piece of parchment to make a little parchment protected tower of burgers. And these perfect little packages are gonna go right into a Ziploc bag and into my freezer. And then that way I can barbecue delicious black bean burgers anytime I want to. This guy has come off the grill and he is barbecue burger perfection as far as I'm concerned. Now, let's make the perfect burger with him, shall we? Some very important ingredients I have here. If you've seen the dilly dip video, you know I have been waiting to put this amazing dip on these burgers. I've done it before for friends and they loved it. Let's get our gorgeous burger on there, shall we? To top them off, we're gonna need a bit more cheese, a sprig of lettuce, and a nice fat tomato, and of course, the amazing pickled jalapenos and onions. If you saw the pickled onion video, you know that again, I have been waiting to put these onions on this very burger. Oh my goodness. How amazing is that? Oh, just looks so delicious. I cannot wait to eat this. But I'm going to cut him in half because he's massive. You can see all of that gooey, cheesy goodness. What's a good burger if it's not a little messy? The burger patty has so much amazing savory flavor of doing all the things I want a burger to do without trying to be meat, which I definitely don't want. That cheese layer just makes it so incredibly moist. The tang from those amazing onions that I made and the creaminess from the dilly dip. This was the ultimate vegetarian burger. And now that you have the perfect vegetarian burger, you're going to need an amazing side dish. And I have the best potato salad you are ever gonna eat right here. So make that next and have the perfect summer barbecue meal. She's a girl who loves a barbecued burger, my friends.